Hello everyone, welcome to another video. It is exactly tomorrow, and today we are going to be playing the Spring Cultivation Festival and stuff. This is what we have, and yeah. Hold on. Oh. Sorry, I'm kinda tired right now. Anyways. Here is something new, something unique that Project Moon has never done before. Today, we are going to train Zishun. What's that? Oh, I forgot my lines. Today, we're gonna train Zishun to become a princess. Anyways. Wow, we're still in Dongyuan. 12 stages? Oh wow. Wait, hold on. I need to see sinners real quick. Honestly, I can just mirror grind all of it. Anyways, sorry about that. I just need to look at something. Oh yeah, I also did a little bit of uptying using all the other event awards, and the hall was chill with a tense air, and those present all sat in complete silence. Then there was Jia Yuanchun, with her lips slightly curled into a mirthless sneer. And at the center of it all sat Jia Zishun, unaware of what to say next. Well, everyone. Jia Yuanchun, seated next to the hierarch's seat upon which Zishun sat, smoothly takes control of the situation and begins his assembly. Honored heads of houses, lords of each family, their proxies, members, and... She nods lightly, acknowledging our awkward presence. And little Zishun's guests, who stay here at our H Corp, seems to be extending without a foreseeable end. Isn't she technically from Q Corp? What's up with her acting like she's any less of an outsider than we are? Yeah, and did everyone catch up? Our H Corp? Regardless of everything else, the fact that she hijacked the meeting from the get-go is ridiculous, especially with Jia Zishun, the family hierarch herself, presiding over this official assembly. Clearly, she is using the pretense of assisting the hierarch to assert her own dominance over these proceedings. As we are all aware, venerable former GMU has always discussed with and confided in me about the matters of the greatest import, the momentousness of which steered the very course of H Corp's prospects. Even after I departed the family for Q Corp, venerable former GMU has always written missive to confer such matters with me. Something about it smelled suspicious, but we've already missed the window to challenge her to present us with proof without breaking decorum. Hold on, I need to check something. Back. Thus, as it naturally follows that I would be the inheritor of the venerable GMU's will, I shall be presiding over this regular assembly, which we now convene to discuss and determine the future of H Corp. What a grandiose and self-important introduction. It seemed clear to me that she considered herself to be the main character of the scene, or something. Your grace certainly befits your station, Lady Yuanchun. We are all impressed by your utmost dedication to the citizenry of Dongyuan, despite your already saturated schedule. We can hardly thank you enough for your magnanimity, Lady Chuan. Ah, my parents, a true shame they couldn't be here, have always sung praises of your expertise, Lady Dongyuan. Yes. Responses from the participants are just as protracted, only subsequent instead of arrogant. as heads of some of those houses were under investigation for consorting with the forces forged into Hangyuan, their vacuum was filled by their children's generation, many of whom we had the pleasure of meeting during the family hierarchy war. Very well, then shall we? Welcome, Jie Shishun, the next person to sit upon the seat of Hangyuan's family hierarch? Greetings. I am... Now let us begin. For many years, all those who have gathered here have toiled day and night for the eternal prosperity and growth of H-Corp. Jie Shishun's expression immediately sours as Yuanchun unceremoniously cuts off her self-introduction. First on the agenda for this assembly are urgent discussions and passage of newly major policy items that have been tabled for far too long. This abusive contribution rights auctioning policy and quarterly amnesty policy. Hold on, big sister Yuanchun? Passing the distribution contribution rights auctioning policy would allow the open auction for any remaining rooms the day before reconstruction days, and the quarterly amnesty wouldn't do anything but give unfair advantages to certain families and high net worth individuals by guaranteeing them large real estate assignments regardless of their performance in the previous quarter. Jie Shishun stutters a little, flustered, before continuing. My point is, these policies are going to rattle H-Corp's economy the moment they go into effect. Besides, these policies were pretty much drawn to favor lining of pockets of a few select families and high-ranking officials of H-Corp. May I, venerable hierarch, lining the pockets? That is an odd turn of phrase to refer to the bare minimum of respect the society might might repay to highest contributing members, don't you think? Oh, before we continue, Zishun, I'm not entirely certain if you are aware, but ever since the ascension of the new family hierarch, the perceived value of Hangyuan has been racing to the, for lack of a better word, rock bottom. Clearly, this demonstrates Hangyuan's concern and its lack of faith in the newly appointed family hierarch. Therefore, it naturally follows that our most urgent task at hand is put a stop to this value and reputation free fall and restore prosperity and greatness to Hangyuan once more. Yeah, okay, and that's the family hierarch's job, right? Why are you? If you had pursued H-Corp's Articles of Association, you would have known that, should H-Corp be deemed in a state of crisis, the four great houses in the Board of Directors' voice may also carry de facto power in the Assembly. And the Board of Directors, that's us, has determined that we are now in a state of crisis. State of crisis? What crisis? Everything that led to my ascension to the family hierarch was legitimate, down to the final approval. These seemingly rumors and slander are tanking our value, which is why we have built up assiduously through the years upon years of toil. So what is this, if not a state of crisis, little sister? And who wouldn't doubt the new family hierarch's qualities when this decline has coincided precisely with her ascension? Jie Yuoshun was somehow turning the room against Zishun without presenting a single shred of evidence, portraying her as some burdensome hierarch who was single-handedly tanking H-Corp's value. No one in the assembly, not even a representative from any families present, stepped up to point out how Zishun's swift actions were what finally repelled the outside forces that had marched right up to Hangyuan's front yard, or how she deftly maneuvered her forces to quell the embers of war by quickly taking control of the chaos within Hangyuan. She hadn't shown any glaring signs of incompetence since her ascension, despite her relative inexperience, but... Everyone in Hong Yuan's board of directors, the head of each family, averted their eyes as though all of that somehow, inconceivably, slipped their minds. So you take yourself to be a qualified individual for that responsibility, Zixun? Very well, then proceed. We're all waiting for you to begin your briefing before the assembly regarding the last 30 years' quarterly net revenue records for Hong Yuan singularity-related businesses, your calculations on the next official debt forecast, and the exact recipe and variation numbers for the boluses that have been registered in the last 5 years. That's, Venerable Hierarch has not received the data prior to the meeting. You must all be aware of the chaos that followed the ascension. We are still indexing all available materials too. Isn't that funny? Not once in the history of Hong Yuan has the family hierarch ever failed to provide the immediate and detailed answers regarding Hong Yuan's historical statistics. Jia Yushun must have known along too. She must have known how the previous family hierarchs were all directly supplied with an immense repository of information through the Jiahuang worm or something of the equivalent. And she's using it to target Zixun's weakness, knowingly asking questions she, the first family hierarch without the Anamana worm, couldn't possibly answer. The responsibilities tied to the venerable seat of hierarch, Jia Mu, are matched only by the great power bestowed it. Thus, how are we to leave the matters of the wing to someone who is so evidently unprepared to the task? Given the present circumstances, our hands may be forced to call the vote the motion of no confidence. The motion of no confidence? The motion of no confidence, when passed by the high-ranking political officials, can result in the removal of the chief executive from office. So they're going after Zixun's power. So that is the picture Jia Yuanxun wanted to paint. Impotent family hierarch, stammering and stumbling through her first meeting to the total and near unanimous task of lack of support from the H-Corp Board of Directors. Whatever jargon they're pulling about, it seems to me that they've not an ounce of respect for the last or us. Never to twats overly obsessed with the numbers in optimizations. They'll be the first to kick you out the moment they no longer see as useful. Hold on, that's right, I'm in a Discord call. Oh shit, I had my mic unmuted?
What's it doing?
I'm recording a video, I forgot I was here alone.
Alright, I'll leave you be then.
Anyways, after that, never trust twats overly obsessed with numbers and optimizations. They'll be the first one to kick you out the moment they no longer see you as useful. You're not the only one who's pissed off, so can you please stop shaping your leg for a second? Don't need to make our frustration any more obvious, you know. My arse would have left the chair long ago if it weren't for this lass. In H-Corp, should the Board of Directors unanimously vote in favor of the motion, certain parts of the family hierarch's powers will be removed. It's entirely impossible that she would become a hierarch in name only. Oh, so you're threatening to fire her unless she falls in line. This is some needlessly convoluted way to... The Assembly will now consider the motion of no confidence. Are there any objections to bringing the motion of no confidence against family hierarch Jia Yuanxun to the floor? Hold on! The vote of no confidence is an item you can vote so like. The Shi family has no objections. Let's say the Wang family has no objections either. Zhu family too. The rest of the previous family heads seem to have changed precisely nothing. Those in power wore more youthful faces, but their tongues still carried the same old resistance to change. The new family heads were just as uncooperative as ever, and everyone seemed to be solely interested in staying in Jia Yushun's good graces. New faces, same old. And needless to say, Heathcliff wasn't the only sinner fuming with rage. "'Tis far too vexing to simply watch and do not!" "Right? I knew you couldn't let this slide, Don Quixote. They're walking all over Jishun like she's not even here. Forsooth, we cannot let such injustice transpire unabated." "Hey, seems like we're both on the same page." "That's it. I'm not going to hesitate to make myself heard again. This time, I want to be courageous. With your help, Don Quixote. Come on, let's do this together, okay?" "Very well, I'm in agreement." "Yeah, then let's go on 3 at the same time. If there are any no objections. 1, 2. The Assembly will put this resolution into vote in a month, and 3. Here, objection! Bloody hell, oi, have you gone mental? Sinclair stood tall at the center of the entire room's undivided astonishment, alone. Eh? Don Quixote, still firmly in her seat, gazed upon Sinclair's proud stand and rubbed her nose. Young Sinclair, thou hast evolved indeed. What an unmitigated pursuer of justice thou hast become. With such unrelenting fervor and utter disregard for decorum. Certainly, mine efforts finally borne fruit. What the hell? Did Don Quixote or Heathcliff suddenly rub off on you or something? No, wait, no! What happened there, Don Quixote? What happened to objecting together? Huh? I had taken thy suggestion to mean that we must voice our dissatisfaction through the official channels borrowing the titles of the illustrious Risques and the Department of LCC? Disputes and successions of power of such high level in government are hardly ever resolved with rash grandstanding. Wouldst thou not agree? Why are you normal all of a sudden? Lad, what just happened? What happened to the clammy meek boy? Well, I guess I just assumed this is how Limbus Companies rolls now. There seems to be an unexpected outburst from Zishun's guests. Withdraw your objection, and we will consider this a momentary loss of control and not enter it as an official statement. Sinclair's eyes were shaking like someone with his life on the line. If not, I take it that you have full confidence in her abilities. So please, I encourage you to elaborate. When and will how Zishun demonstrate her aptitude for the responsibilities of the family hierarchy. His voice continues to shrivel into a corner. He can't, and how could anyone? How could anyone when we all had a very clear view of her path to ascension? During the family hierarchy evaluation, Jia Baiyu donated the coins he received from Jia Q to you. Essentially, you pity-partied your way to victory. Pity-parted? And for your ascension, Jia Q and those outsiders from an upstart company had to almost literally carry you to the seat. Has there even been a single victory attained by your hands in that entire process? But have we all not been witnesses to the qualities she exhibited during the family hierarchy evaluation in her own ascension? You must have no shame, snaking your forked tongue in the audience of both heaven and earth like an unwitting buffoon. That's when quiet, even footsteps broke through Jia Yushun's merciless dismantling of Jia Shishun. Yet I see the point. The hierarch, with her grace, needs only demonstrate her already established qualifications before all. This is no place for an outsider to speak. But proceed. Just how will she prove herself before us? Huh? What an odd statement, coming from a fellow outsider who had been chatting for minutes on end. Forgive me, I can only presume from your verbosity that the right to speak in this forum was open to all outsiders. You have said it yourself, no? That the vote on the no confidence resolution will proceed in a month. That seems to give the Venerable Hierarch a month to regain the trust of each family. What? It is rather clear that there are many who find their defeat in the family hierarch more difficult to accept. Such a doubt should be easily resolved. A match between clans should lay out the results quite obviously. Very well. A fair challenge between clans. Clash of Clans. Clash Royale. Which would preclude the participation of the family hierarch's Haishupax and the Jianlan guards. So you would remove her Pao and June before the game even begins? Why not make this a test? Why not make this test a series of sparring matches in both academia and martial arts, if such is the case? Huh? What audacity! Do you truly have that much faith in Jie Zhixun's abilities? You must know the consequences of failing these matches, no? It would be an unanimous, one-sided end to the vote of no confidence, and naturally, any and all rights appertaining to family hierarch shall be transferred to the board of directors. That's fine by us. You are free to choose any champion whom you see fit. Unfortunately, your underlings don't seem to share your inflated confidence. But in the midst of the confused, flabbergasted silence from the other sinners, a clear, carefree, yet defiant voice rings out. Hong Nu's retort. That is not true. That is not true at all, big sister Yanshu. We actually have just as much confidence in Zixun as she does. His white eyes stare directly and unblinkingly into Jie Yuanshun's. It occurred to me that this might just be his way of expressing anger. Impudent child, how dare he stare me down like that? Then you are welcome to try. 1 month. You have but 1 month to prove before all an audience that she is indeed fit to be the family hierarch. Should you fail, the vote may as well be a mere formality. In other words, should she successfully prove herself, none of you shall ever again rightfully challenge the independent rights and powers bestowed upon the family hierarch. The consequences of such recalcitrance would be no different from those that the traitors are facing. Wouldn't you agree? Well then, we shall excuse ourselves now. But wait, Zigong turns around towards that same mysterious smile and slowly directs us outside the assembly hall. We men call them sparring matches, but you must know that each and every one of them is a test to prove your claim to be the seat of the family hierarch. A month is a time far too brief for drastic improvement, regardless of whom it may be. Learning from a proper master for 10 months straight might teach you a few things, but who knows how long the search for one such master might take, not to mention the official channels through which you must bring the past Nangyuan walls, which may take up to 2 months. Why not relent now and relinquish but a part of your powers as a family hierarch to the board of directors? It seems that this fellow outsider mental faculties are impressively lacking. My lord has spoken in the past that, when in the presence of 3 people, at least one of them is bound to be a teacher of mine. And here they are, aren't they? Jie Zhixun's masters, each carrying something new to teach her. All 13 of them. Zigon gestured confidently towards the flabbergasted sinners, and the assembly came to an end. That whole cutscene took 24 minutes, 24 and a half minutes, 24 and 43 seconds. Just because I was reading. Anyways. combat tips, sinners with low sanity will be corroded by ego. We were planning to train Jiashun anyway, but it seems that we are now under an unexpected deadline. Hey, when you said the LCB was going to help me out, did you guys mean that you were going to publicly humiliate the crap out of me at the assembly? Of course not. Of course not, Zishun. Big sister Yuan Shun is an old snake. You just given her 30 days to set the perfect stage for my downfall, to prove to the world once and for all that I'm not qualified at all to be the family hierarch. But Zishun, weren't you always so good at humbling anyone who dared underestimate you? Not so much anymore. Back then, like an idiot, I thought I just had to hold on with everything I had. I thought that's all I ever had to do. But now, things are different. It is true that I'm vastly underqualified to be the family hierarch, and she's right. I pretty much lucked into this position. Zishun, don't tell me that woman's bullshit actually got to you. Well, she wasn't completely wrong, right? I'm just some kid who happened to be just good enough to survive some traps and ambushes. I'm afraid that the responsibility of the family hierarch might be too much. Her self-confidence has significantly decreased compared to the observations from our previous interaction. The heck, Zishun? I don't remember you being this kind of character. What happened to the girl who looked down on us the moment we met? You even had the audacity to pretend to not know who we were, didn't you? Where did all that confidence go, girl? That actually got under her skin back then, huh? So, Zishun, what will you want to do now? Are you sure you are okay with this? Are you okay with letting this happen? If I let it happen, Big Sister Yuan Shun's gonna continue expanding her influence here. I'm sure she and the board of directors have been cozying up to each other for a long time. It is the implication that her testaments on her influence were true. Yep, it's true. Before she left for Q Corp, Big Sister Yuan Shun used to always accompany GMU to these assemblies. If we just let them hold the vote of no confidence, they're going to unanimously vote against me and slowly reduce the family hierarch's scope of power. And who knows, they might even call for a re-evaluation, however unlikely that sounds. Besides, Big Sister Yuan Shun, I think her definition of Han Yuan's prosperity might be different from mine. What she's looking for isn't H Corp's prosperity, it is Dong Yuan's. And I know that this all has something to do with its ties to H Corp, which I bet has already been going on for a while just under my radar. I'm sure they've already had plenty of talks behind my back. Which is not the kind of vision you have Han Yuan's future, right? And that's why you spoke up against her? My vision for Han Yuan is, I want to change H Corp to be the kind of place where people can live without fear. I just never imagined I'd have to prove myself like this, and in only 30 days. Even then, your future hasn't changed, right? It hasn't. Great! So, it's decided then, huh? We just need Fao to deliver the bad news to Saudi. So, to summarize, the responsibility of training Zishun to win these matches, these amorphous tests upon which hinges the family hierarch's fate, and almost every facet of which is entirely under Jia Yuan Shun's control, by the way, is probably a trap. Within the next 3 days is ours. And we have to explain that to Saudi. Wow, that seems like a lot of work when you put it like that. Postmortem reports have become quite rote. Sometime later, Pretty, thou must impress upon the lustrous red gates that wasn't mine idea this time. Sinclair stared blankly at Don Quixote as she made her desperate plea towards Saudi. Yes, and I understand that very well, for the 8th time. As always, Saudi was wearing the same refreshingly incomprehensible smile. The kind of smile that makes most people increasingly anxious the longer it takes. Well, that gives us about 30 days, during which those sparring matches, tests, whatever, will be happening as well. Great, let's give it our best. Sinclair mutters in a near whisper, clearly feeling responsible for what happened. Yes, I understand. I never should have stepped out of line like that, but something just... Yeah, so let's give it our best. I totally agree. We messed everything up again, and... What? Limbus Company was always going to remain here and assist Miss Jia Zishun acclimatize herself to the responsibilities to the family hierarch. It was already part of our plan. Well, I'm sure glad I took Foss' advice of how meticulously planning is pointless when it comes to LCB's missions. I never would have had to submit 9 separate disciplinary incident reports back at the J-Corp incident had I known. I believe I should be able to explain this further. Prior to his departure, my lord was concerned that such a thing would come to pass. That is why he has left Zilu and I here to look after the new family hierarch's position, which must still be on rather thin ice. Oh, so that's what they were privately talking about when he pulled them aside. Doing nothing and allowing her wicked machinations to progress would have irrevocably made the entire board of directors not but putty in Yuan Shun's pants. And that would have led that snake to de facto assume the seat of the family hierarch. Acting such an insidious foe who wields such intrigue as her weapon, the most viable strategy is the most direct one, to challenge her head-on. Besides, has this not given you the excuse you needed to prolong your company's stay in Dangyuan? This is also a prime opportunity for Jia Shishun to further solidify her influence here, depending on the outcome of the votes of no confidence. They have played right into our hands by accepting this deal. So I don't want to rain on everyone's parade, but are we not going to even consider what might happen if we fail? No, we are not, because you would not fail, not with us aiding your efforts. Also, were you serious back then when you said that we were all going to cheat Jia Shishun? All 12 of us? I won't object to selecting only a few with us with better aptitude to be educators. Ah, by the way, we have already established internal hierarchy based on the sum of each of our abilities. Of course, the results weren't entirely to my satisfaction due to an unexpected incident. Miss Alice, that is a statement mired in narrow vision rife with factual refractions. I am of the stance that the qualities of a good teacher are defined not by statistics. So you must be the one who placed last in that scale. Just don't say anything, bud. Best not stand out like a sore thumb. I may have overreacted then. My lord said that from the virtuous we may learn to replicate their merits, from the flawed we may learn to avoid their failings. As long as the student is willing to learn, anyone, anything can be a teacher. I also, to embrace his teaching, seek from all those we come across. Just what in the heavens are you doing? I am preparing a lesson plan for young Jishun, our family hierarch. Wow, you sure got that on fast. So what are these yellow warming things here? Ah, 'tis a star, twinkling, twinkling in this radiance. According to the schedule we have prepared, the student would have -3 hours available to sleep. This lesson plan execution will require cooperation from T-Corp. Don't be a mistake. Would be a mistake most fatal indeed. I will correct it post-haste. Zigong was staring at Don Quixote's expression of her wild artistic merit upon the curriculum with her usual crescent moon eyes. Wait, is that supposed to be Zigong's grimace? Of course. Each their own, I suppose. I need not to be shaken about every little thing until we have their actual lessons plan in hand. Hey, thanks for putting your faith in us, Ziyong. We barely have any of that to go around ourselves, so I understand it couldn't have been easy. You'd say that I have learned my lesson. The recent events have taught me that the path of learning is truly one without end. Ooh, 11 minutes. That was a lot shorter. I'm tracking it. I'm tracking most of it down. Another student? Alright. I wonder who it could be. I know. I see that you have all individually worked on your lesson plans as per Xeon's request. Hold on, I want to know what the pinky... I've received a total of 12 lesson plans. Hold on, shouldn't be 13 of them? Even the executive manager has decided to spare their precious time to teach a class? Huh? Yeah, I handed in my lesson plan too. Huh, that is because... So, who didn't do their homework? After a brief silence, everyone turned around and looked at one of the sinners. It ain't me. Oh please, at least try to make a compelling argument. Who else other than you could it possibly... It's me. You, Sin? You've been acting out of character a lot recently. What's going on? Well, that's, Sinclair was drenched in sweat for some reason. Actually, in Sinclair's seat was a large stack of papers, each filled to the brim with writing. Sinclair's? Are these papers? I'm done! Sorry, I got too into making a lesson plan that I couldn't stop myself from writing. Sinclair couldn't have appeared more proud than he placed that big bundle of sweat-soaked papers in Zila's hands. And she receives it with mild trepidation. You have seemed to have dedicated quite the momentous effort in drawing up this lesson plan. What's up with her? Let's start reviewing from the first of the stack. 108 Analytical Approaches to the Aesthesis AAA. What does AAA mean, and how do you explain to explore all 108 approaches in a month? Appreciation of artistry and assassinations. F you. Went too far. Right, sorry. Flip a page and continue reading for those 108 approaches. What paint did you use? It's quite vicious, and the paper has partially melted. Ah, lady, watch yourself. You almost got some on my arm. Uh-huh, a painting. Huh. Zilu? Entrails? Coding the world? Now you know how aesthetes appreciate the artistry of slaughter. Just what the hell did you paint in that paper? Hey, get it together! Zilu stumbled briefly. Whatever was on that paper must have given her quite the shock. My mind wandered for a bit. This is too dangerous to be used for a lesson. Thus, it goes to the discard pile. Weak maxing. Zilu crumpled up the paper without hesitation and tossed it out of sight. Next. Intro to Societal Reintegration. Impressive title. Chapter 1. How to shake hands with your left hand when the situation calls for it. Huh? Chapter 2. Exploration of exclusively long-sleeved fashion and practices. Chapter 3. Projecting confidence and why having a bug arm is totally cool. That's, you know how it is. Be proud of who you are. All that philosophy stuff. I wanted this lesson to give a bit of a paradigm shift where we can all come to see our flaws, not as failings, but as evidence of our individuality, which will usher in a world where we carry on with our lives, no matter what arm we have. Discard. Next. Zilu quickly flipped through the pages. Intro to Denagrative linguistics, subheading the power of words. Sticks and stones may break their bones, so let's add the words to the pile. My credentials include the ability to dress down an opponent so hard that they fall to their knees and beg me to stop. I have plans for applications as well. The lessons teaches methods pertaining to disgusting compliments and criticism and vice versa. Sorry. All of this seems rather difficult to learn. I have concluded from my hitherto observations that Jie Xun is an individual of great promise in this field. Follow my instructions to T, and I guarantee you that this cadet shall be able to have the upper hand in any verbal confrontations. Huh. Is this a curriculum to make the best brawler of the best family hierarch out of me? Zilo seems quite interested, but Jie Xun's vehement veto eventually overruled the suggestion. On Justice, another impressive title. Subheading, Methodologies of Captivating an Entire Room of Preoccupied Audience. Discard. Fiat wherefore? Next. Practice of ego splitting concerning inter-mirror conflict between the self and the reflection and periodically refractured theories of idealism, which one attempts to open an opening door to open the door. Utterly incomprehensible. Discard. Perhaps Miss Ayushu's advice to truncate the lesson title should have been taken in earnest. Survival and Exploration. 21 reasons to pay attention when the exploration team leader is giving advice on the upcoming adventure. Case study for 30 horrible mistakes that occurred because of the team was distracted during the leader's lecture. How to track down the troublemakers who try to sweep trouble under the rug while the team leader isn't looking. Someone ignored my advice that we should have been moving 2 steps ahead. Finally, I've narrowed them down to 3 culprits. Ah, wait, I forgot to take that part out. And into the shredder it went. When did that paper shredder get there? The art of using yawning as a cover for popping a kubi or 2 into your mouth, especially useful when getting lectured. Hey, if you get good enough at it, you can do that with nuts too. So it was you who made those crunching sounds at our last meeting. What? Nah, do you take me for an amateur? The art of social maneuvers, how to let it flow through you. How to not make things awkward when you walk right into someone bad-mouthing you. The most important part about this art is to flash a refreshing smile in a way that looks earnest. It helps when you convince yourself that smiling is what brings good fortune. Smiles have a way of disarming people, giving them pause and making them hesitate. I remember that Big Bro used to use that technique to confuse a lot of Dangyuan people who hated him. I see. This. I can't quite bring myself to throw this into the shredder. Next, how to remain in complete stillness for a week until the next command is received. This lesson plan was assigned based on Rodian's advice that I must prioritize strengths that are unique to myself. Look, in my defense, I know he considered that to be his unique strength, okay? Let's consider whether standing in complete stillness for a week is a quality one might seek in the family hierarchy. This one is certainly interesting. What separates bravado from bravery? Jack shit, shut up and grab your weapons. Yep, always gotta read the full print. It's my philosophy that don't necessarily need to be considered before coming to blows. Martial prowess is indeed an indispensable part of the family hierarchy's qualities, but our focus is not on developing a hierarchy of a syndicate. Next, information disparity as a driver of inequitable treatment. Huh? Oh, that's actually the most interesting sounding so far. And the application of engineering frameworks. Okay, it's kind of losing me, but I'm still on board. For systematic resolution and rational self-interest driven societies, and... Is it still going on? That was 1/5 of the full title. It seems that the same trouble has hindered both you and I. Every word in that title was added for its absolute necessity. Indeed. After she had gone through the majority of our lesson plans, finally, now that that's over, yes, it's finally my turn. Sinclair sighed with the gravitas of someone who had just been bestowed with the most important mission in his life. Thinking back, even in school, I used to daydream about becoming a teacher myself. I thought I could be good at it. So I guess you could say that I'm pretty happy to be given an opportunity like this. I call my lesson the theory on self-overcoming. We have to accept that everyone stumbles at first, but by always striving to be a better person than I was yesterday. Hey, but what if I, like, who I was yesterday more? That's okay. Everyone has their own unique potential sleeping deep inside. So with everything I've learned and experienced so far, let me teach you. Let me teach you how to not doubt your own capabilities, how to always shoot high. Hold on. You had me for a second there, but what's up with acting like you're an infinitely more enlightened person than I am? Of course. I prepared a speaking class where you can learn how to speak with modesty too. I never would have imagined Sinclair would be this into it. Yeah, too bad he's so into it that he's not even listening to what Zishu's saying. Following that, your company's, seems that Zilu's completed her review. Oh, I see now. How's everything going, everyone? Class prep going well? My curriculum most special! Okay, so that's a no. That was Sadi's impression upon taking a quick glance at Don Quixote, who was sobbing and cradling the shredded papers of her lesson plan in her hands. Well, it wasn't a complete bust. At least Sinclair's lesson plan survived. Miss Seagon, Miss Sadi, I prepared a 30 days worth of lesson plans. Would you like to take a look? But Zingong and Sadi weren't looking at the dozen of lessons plans Sinclair presented so proudly before their eyes. They were looking away. Seagong especially was looking away with an unmistakably expression of pity. So he doesn't know. Would you mind explaining this, Zilu? I cannot bring myself to tell him. Apologies. So this young man produced this entire sizable stack of lesson plans all on his own. I see. Weakness has found its way into your heart in the face of such earnest effort. I understand. However, it has been decided that Sinclair will not be participating as one of Jiashun's teachers. Or should I call you pupil Sinclair to be exact? There's gotta be a mistake, right? Isn't Zishu the pupil here? No, there hasn't been any mistakes. My lord has specifically instructed that you are to learn from this as well. What? What? Seriously? This isn't right. Guys, this isn't right. Now this looks like a proper classroom. It would have felt pretty dang empty with just Zishu sitting there all on her own, don't you think? Besides, I bet Sinclair is the resident expert on going to schools, right? School was a luxury for me, you know? Yeah, maybe, but that doesn't mean I ever wanted to go back to school. You should learn to be grateful. I don't dole out my teachings just to anyone. Don't forget, we have to redo the whole lesson plan under their supervision. Aldous, you always get your soapbox and try to lecture anyone about something after every single battle anyway. And you, Ishmael, you always get hyperfixated on something. Once you find something interesting, you never stop talking about it for 3 hours at least. And I will ensure that you receive the best education I can provide, Sinclair. Hold on, Yisong. I thought we were the underdog duo. Remember during the checkup when I said we got this? We were going to get this together. The evaluation painted a twisted picture of the true scale of strength, the sole measure of which erroneously relied entirely on physical might. I shall not hesitate to impart knowledge of those who require education. Congratulations, my lady. You have found yourself a desk mate, which we'll also call a bestie, depending on this desk placement. Huh? Deskmate? Bestie? What the heck does any of that mean? Huh? Shun's eyes widen with confusion, as though she just heard those words for the first time in her life. She... When I first met her when she was 16, she explained to me that she hadn't attended any school-like institutions. This is par for the course for children of Hangyuan who are raised for the purpose of becoming the next family hierarch. The reason being that schools can be a perfect place to assassinate someone. So, deskmates and besties? Sinclair began to explain, seemingly resigned to the fact that he was essentially going back to school for a month with the other sinners as his teachers. Usually sit next to each other and help one another out. A bestie might nudge the other awake when they doze off, share the homework with another if the one forgot to do others. They usually end up being included in the best memories of each other's school time. Huh. It's not very important at all, huh? I think I got this on my own. I don't need a bestie. Huh. It may have come a few years late, but I am moved that my lady finally has a chance at experiencing school. Same here. I remember it like yesterday. Zishun would sit and watch each other's kids walk to school from a distance, tears welling in her eyes. Dude! Oh, that reminds me. One day, out of nowhere, she started saying something about eating from lunchboxes with friends. I haven't a clue as to how or where she even heard about it, but she snuck into the kitchen and... Ah, wait! Don't you guys have any lesson plans to write? Come on, hurry up! 30 days are ticking down! We've only got 30 days! Of course. Unfortunately, I have become quite occupied with another task of great importance. Assisting Wei and indexing and reviewing various documents that are in critical need of organizing. Thus, I must leave the planning task to you two, Zilu and Miss Sadi. Have you any thoughts in this matter? Slacker. What was that? I said nothing. And wow, that was a really fun cutscene to read, honestly. And to try and voice act at least. It still is a challenge for me to having to try and remember everyone's tone of voice and lines. I mean, not lines, but everyone's tone and personality I've given the voices. Ah, here we go. This is it. Zilu and Sadi have appeared to have aged several years overnight, their faces sunken and sallow. Finally, after referencing the idiosyncrasies and various statistical data available to us regarding each sinner, we've managed to come up with an appropriate curriculum. Miss Zilu? Apologies. Sleep deprivation has relieved me of clear mind. The path of an educator is truly a grueling one. Marching to battle would be much easier. Still, thanks to Mr. GIQ's methodology you shared, we did manage to find a way to make this quite efficient. Efficient, huh? To be a true family hierarch, there are hundreds of virtues one must understand and master. However, to do so in 30 days as promised is an implausible effort. I mean, summer school taught me biology in just 3 weeks. Thus, we have categorized the countless virtues into 3 super categories. And they are called... Huh? What are these supposed to be? Qi, Yang, and Ren. Qi, wisdom. The wiser lose neither people nor words. To hold one's silence in need of speech shall cost them people. To speak in need of silence shall cost them words. A reason no secrets of logic. Yang, courage, the ability to overcome fear, to act decisively. Have too much of it and risk becoming a brute. Having too little and risk becoming a coward. It needs harmony and balance. So how far are we to go with the corporal punishment again? I recall no instance of discussion regarding corporal punishment. And Ren, humanity. It's the benevolence of the heart, the compass of behavior that dictates respect towards every human. Huh. Clearly, most of the faculties of the school are severely lacking all three of your criteria. Just how do you think they'll be able to teach the students anything? Yeah, like a certain someone who has need a lesson in Ren. Are you sure I'm in good hands? Just what the heck am I supposed to learn here? Where's Y? Mr. Y and Zigong are currently quite preoccupied with handling the monumental task of paperwork. Alright, Mr. Y wanted me to deliver this message to you. Be strong, my lady. Why? Despite her protestations, the 30 days of class commenced. I'm gonna take a break from talking. That was a lot to read. I've been straight up reading for 1 hour. Sorry. Give me a moment. Look guys, I was reading for like nearly an hour. You have to understand that this was really needed. This is a mandatory class cycle. Cool. What's this? Chicken. Anyways, let us begin class. My name is Yisang. Yisang. The class I have prepared for today. Aha! I've heard plenty about your mirror tech. Which makes me wonder. Going by the level of advancement in that technology, couldn't you have approached it from a different angle? You know how technological advancement usually goes. People invent for the sake of creation, only to have their inventions inevitably work into weapons of destruction. Indeed, you show much promise already. As you summarize now, the mirror has, in the past, almost been employed to shatter possibilities instead of reflecting them. I'm sure that's the angle most others wanted to see happen. Removal of potential risks. Sounds like a more palatable than potential itself to some people after all. Correct again. Yet, destruction was a word that bore too much suffering to my heart. My sole egress from it was abandonment of my quondam fellows in my life's work, making myself a fugitive from the past. How did you bring yourself to just abandon it all? I conversed. With whom? With myself that lies within me. As you are aware, the mirror's reflection extends beyond the veils of our own reality. It reflects the potentialities, the latent strength, and Zawado. Yet even among them, the reflection of the greatest importance is that of the self. Let not the innumerable worlds of the mirror enchant your gaze. First, one must direct their studies inward and reflect upon oneself. I learned how to be more true to myself by looking into the mirror. I have grown. Now, if you are prepared, do explain what you see in the mirror. You needn't haste. For some reason, Seishun appeared to hesitate before the mirror. Hey, you know? It's been a while since I've looked into the mirror for so long. My lady, do you recall Sunzen of the Shi family who contacted you for a meeting? Yeah, the guy who said he was going to show me a precious flower that blooms only at night. I remember that you were vehemently against me going out there, so I stayed inside. I wonder what kind of flower it was. Don't tell me you were actually looking forward to meeting him, my lady. Oh, of course not! You were wise to stay inside. It was revealed that you weren't the only person who was invited, my lady. That vile man had hired a group of assassinations to ambush the meeting spot, and would have been waiting there to spring the trap had you gone. But apparently, he was outplayed and had his limbs and heads torn off as punishment. What a relief, isn't it? I guess. I'm glad I didn't go, Why. You were right. If only you still had the Wu branch under your control. Stop it. We agreed to move on from that. Remember? We don't have to talk about it. I was brushing my hair and looking into the mirror as we were talking, but I realized that I no longer recognized the girl in the mirror. I don't know why, but I found it so hard to meet her eyes. But I brushed it off because I had to. An experience like that was going to become a common occurrence anyways. And the family hierarchy war was always looming on the horizon. Perhaps what you felt then may have been shame, but it's paramount to face oneself nonetheless. Nay, especially if it was so. And Sinclair, what do you see? I see... Well, I just see myself smiling. I don't see what's so out of the ordinary. But it seemed like Sinclair couldn't really bring himself to face the mirror. Hey, after we just discussed, I think I understand something now. Now that I've had some quiet time looking at my reflection, I think I uncovered a part of myself I've had hidden away for a long time. Oh hey, there's a bit of... that... I saw a bit of... that person... what was her name? Don Bayek's ego. That person who has been a roadblock ever since I started playing this. Anyways, I bet Sinclair saw his N-Corp self. I learned how to be more true to myself by looking into the mirror. I have grown. I also learned a little bit more. Class metaphysical approach to ego in the reflected world leveled up to expert. Oh god, he takes more sanity now. Oh. Let's see, I guess this gives out a little bit more XP. There's unique combos? Interesting. I think I got the gist of how to do this. Alright, so... I've been playing Honkai Star Rail recently, and I had a similar experience to this. So, I should know how to make a princess, or warrior by now, so... Don't blame myself. Don't... If you have anything against that, I don't know. But, deal with it, I guess. Anyways. Tis true that the station of teaching is prone to imbue one with a sense of bashfulness. Sinclair and Zishun both sat with a bit of apprehension as well, which, understandably, given what Sadi told them sometime before the lesson started, some time ago. Aldous, who had been glaring daggers at Don Quixote for a good while, finally decided to voice her doubts to Sadi. So what is Don Quixote, that woman, supposed to teach? Have you not considered that her usual flippancy might only cause more trouble than it's worth? You worry too much, Aldous. While she may not look like it, Don Quixote is extremely well versed in those adventure tales. And why would any of that matter? Have you seen yourself considered that fixtures often appear when history is in the making? Let's see this here. Don Quixote took a second to savor the moment, as though she had been preparing her whole life for it, then continued. Amongst the greatest fixtures who honored names or engraved as history, verily, let us commence this lesson with the tale of the fixer, Yu Fei. This tale begins in the year... sometime later. Are you done? Just how could she continue to talk at such length? She's been going for ages. thus comes the time to test thy dedication to this class, and the knowledge of that should naturally come with it. A puff quiz, if thou wilt. Whence ye even find the time to prepare this? I can assure thee 'tis a quiz of entirely reasonable difficulty, if thou had paid attention in class. Worry thee not. Does this pop quiz have prizes? But of course, when I came prepared for such inquiries, for each correct answer, I would bestow thee from the very treasure chest of mine these precious fixer badges. Forsooth, I did not let a single day go by in which I did not polish each and every one of them on 3 separate occasions at the very least. I don't know. I don't really need them. Hold thine applause, for there is a bonus reward for the victor who by the end of this match carries more badges. Thou shalt attain the role of a protagonist in this theatrical play of my making, Fixer Chronicles Yufei. 'Tis an opportunity of a lifetime. I'm still not really... It's not doing anything for either of us. It's still a very useless reward, but if you're turning this into a competition, I won't lose. Seriously? What? Scared to lose? Is history your weakness or something? I'll have you know that I was the teacher's pet in every single history class I took. And I'll have you know that I was, no matter the subject, showered with praises from every master I've ever had. Okay, if that's how you want to play it, I'll have you know that I was a prodigy in other classes too. I did great in art classes, pretty good in math too. I was just being humble because I didn't want to steal your thunder, Zishu. Oh? Then let me tell you that I was trained in the mastery of at least 10 different disciplines every single day. And on one of those days, you know one of the masters told me? He said, looks like Miss Yushu is finally getting a feel for how friendships close in age are forged in school. That's good. No matter how excellent her masters were, there are some experiences you can't just learn from teachers. I tick-tocked in response. 'Tis year 505. What is the most historical community's consensus on the most illustrious battle that Fixer Yufei is said to have partaken in? Allow me to impart thee a major clue. If thou hast paid attention as I discourse upon the 5 pillages in which the Fixer Yufei was mentioned, this should not be a not so difficult question to answer. The honorable Fixer of the Cerulean Heaven, who attained triumph in the Battle of Rhino Tree in the year 465, hath said what was the worst ordeal she had to face in her career. I've got it! It's when she had to forge onward, despite watching her dear comrades fall one by one as they held the line to buy her time. Damn it! I was too slow! Fie, young Shishu, thou art incorrect. Honorable Fixer of the Cerulean Heaven is recorded to have testified that the world's worst ordeal in her career was when she was forced to stand before her enemies with her hair that was not lustrous, as supply line breakage caused her regular delivery of nutritional supplements to cease. What thou had suggested, young Shun, was her 17th most difficult ordeal. She's speaking like she was actually there. She was, probably. Thine impression is quite understandable, for I am trained in the ways of vividly regaling these tales, but most of these tales I have learned from the books. Much did I anticipate an opportunity to regale these tales to such an audience, enough to study the ways of minstrels. By the way, I'm getting tired of... By the way, in order for me to not catch a cold or get a... in order for my throat to not work, I will not be voice acting Dawn's, personality, the voice that I've chosen for them. I hope you guys understand. Anyways, there was a clear look of pride in her twinkling eyes. Time flies when hearing the tales of exciting adventures. Wow. What was the secret technique Honorable Fixer Lysander employed in this resolution of the case of the Fey Forest? Speak its name in full. I've got it. It's a summer's night's fantasia. Aha. Yet I cannot pass such an unmotivated retelling of this super ultimate move. hardly could one internalize the true noble spirit of fixtures by simply residing with such apathy. Thou must recreate the exact pose and the enunciation. Are you kidding me? Come on, you can do this, Yishun. You can do this. This is nothing. Illusions of a midsummer night shall devour thee whole. Summer night Fantasia! Tiny confusion was quite the shaky upon the word illusions, yet thou hast demonstrated sufficient courage. Thus I bestow thee this badge. I grow tired of this nonsense. Just how long are you planning to drag this on? Thus muttered the hero, then declared, I shall tear this evil storm sunder and find a place for this blade at the center of thy heart. Dante, lights, left side. Gotcha. Don Quixote, who was watching Sinclair in Jishishun's two-person play, silently wiped her tears away. Bravo, bravo. Certain minor details were missed, such as that Yu Fei, the fixer, was left-handed, and that he had a habit of playing with a lighter with his left pocket for every duel. Yet, it was a wonderful enactment indeed. I have no other critique to impart upon thee. When faced with great adversary in thy adventures, rekindle the memory of Yu Fei's the fixer's final duel. Remember it well. Thus cometh to an end the lessons of today. It was just for a moment, but I'm starting to get it. I get why she's so obsessed with fixers. Clutched lightly in Zishun's hands were the badges Don Quixote had gifted to her. Wow. I was completely absorbed in the exhilarating tales of fixers. I even forgot to breathe at one point. I have grown. Nissan. Interesting. I guess it'll work. Boom! This is a component taken apart from the structure that forms H-Corp. This may prove to be an opportunity to conduct an in-depth analysis of the nature of the former H-Corp singularity, which has been enduring for such a long time. You kinda look upbeat today, Miss Faust. Indeed, an opportunity to study the old H-Corp singularity is not one that comes often. As there was potential for interrogation into Mistopheles, I have made a request to disassemble a part of the bus engine, but was denied. A shame. Aren't you the one who built Mistopheles though, Miss Faust? Mistopheles is indeed Faust's work, but not all of it was mine. It was possible that Faust may never reveal every small detail that went through its creation. I would have very much enjoyed a chance to completely disassemble it, even its engines, so that it could be reassembled with my own hands. Yeah, sure. I just realized Faust speaks in third person because she's actually not referring to herself, but another Faust, like Star made this. However, Star made this with another Star's guide, but someday I, Star, shall want to make this another day. Based on the skills I learned, I managed to recreate the model of a skill from Faust's blueprint. I have grown. So that's how it works. I think I get it. Didn't think this is how I'd get to learn more about the old H-Corp. I don't think I can do much against the reconstruction days right now, but this knowledge will certainly come in handy when the day comes for me to gradually dismantle that iniquitous thing. The day when Hong-Yuan can be a place where people can live without fear. Without the fear of enroaching reconstruction days, without obsessively counting their rooms to see if they'll fall or not. Until Hong-Yuan can be a place where you can sleep within the promise of safe tomorrows. I'm sure you'll pull it off. Oh, and I learned a lot during this lesson too, Miss Faust. The vultures would have set The voltage must have been set too high. Repeating experiment with a different combination of fuses and wires. There was supposed to be a lesson somewhere in there, right? I learn. Therefore, I learn. My war tales. Alright, let's see, the combos I have for now, that, and that, but what else do these have? Well, we'll learn later. Unlike some other classes, which were much more on the upbeat side of things, the room's air felt grim and solemn as everyone saw what Gregor had written on the chalkboard. On war. Losing a wing war leaves a longer-lasting impact than some medium-sized enterprise closing up shop. It might be too soon to talk about this, but we came pretty darn close to one recently, didn't we? We were this close to our large-scale war breaking out right here, which absolutely would have happened if Miss Shishu here failed to finish her ascension. It would have spread like wildfire too. So my class is going to be about what exactly happens when a war... Oh. The piece of chalk slipped from Gregor's fingers as he went to scribble on something on the board. His left hand was trembling as though the room's temperature had plummeted only for him. Man, why is it gotta... Excuse me, Miss Silu. Is it okay if I smoke? Go ahead. You good? Well, when else am I going to get the chance to share the realities of war rights to a wing chief executive officer's face, huh? The moments that just don't come off your skin no matter how hard you scrub at them. Hey, take a break if you need it. I'm going to listen to every word you have to say here today, no matter how long it takes. Man, do I appreciate that sentiment. Well, still. I can't dilly-dally when Miss Shishu's got other stuff to deal with, huh? So let's take a look at how things were at the very beginning of a wing war. Manage to understand the troubles most foot soldiers go through and learn how to get a better idea of the flow of a battlefield. I have grown. And that's why the smoke war fronts were mostly characterized by the trench warfare. No one wants to risk fighting in concrete jungles where they could be surrounded by enemies at all times, so everyone tried to draw each other out to an open field battle, which naturally turned into a trench warfare. Of course, every wing had a different singularity, so this isn't applicable to all cases. It's just that the former G-Corp found Platin Flays easier to maneuver in. I feel like Dangyuan could make a pretty good use of Hangyuan as a defensive fortress, especially with its internal structure constantly shifting around, which the Hayushu know and use very well. Exactly. This should explain why they were hesitating outside Dangyuan. Remember the thumb fellas? The one we met who were going in circles? Not to mention how the Hayushu all utilized the topography of Hangyuan differently, even if an outsider were to get a read on how one of the branches maneuver around Hangyuan. As long as the 12 Hayushu branches were standing, Hangyuan is unassailable. Well, despite going into all that, I'm sure we all know that the best answer is all warfare is not having a war in the first place. I'll be honest, I can't stop thinking about some of the stories you've been telling us. I can't even imagine what it would have been like to have to not only witness it, but go through all of that. We did visit your phantoms, Gregor, but that wasn't even the tip of the iceberg. The city was devoured in smoke, its citizens in madness. He had always shrugged off those stories as ramblings of the past, but during the war, he stood at the center of the heartless machine that was the city, and every gear calibrated to slaughterhouse precision to maximize the death of its people. There, he must have witnessed things far worse than the worst the city presently has to offer. Ah yes, the smoke monster. His eyes gazed beyond the veil of the bygone past, shaking restlessly in pursuit of what was no more. Oh boy. Sorry, fellas. I'm afraid I got carried away lamenting what happened that I forgot this was supposed to be a class. I'll be sure to prep something more useful next time. No. Everything you told me was really solidified my resolve. This chaos within Hangyuan needs to come to an end soon, lest something so horrible could happen. I'm heading to my next class. But wait for me! Even after the two students had left, Gregor lingered in that room for a while, lighting up cigarettes after cigarette without erasing what he wrote on the chalkboard. Smoke soon filled the room. He left only after emptying the entire pack. Isan. Fast. Ah, awesome. Surviving Hangyuan. Let's see, if I do that, yep. That'll be pretty good. How are classes going, Zishu? Huh, I'm not you, big bro. I pay attention in class. Oh, hello, Miss Dayu. She really was insistent on helping me out, even though I refused because she looked preoccupied. The moment I found out about the contents of his lesson plan, I simply cannot allow him to do this alone. Looks like it's going to be another serious class. Apologies for the delayed greetings. Dayu of the Lin family formally extends her greetings to the venerable hierarch. Been a while since I've heard that greeting around here. Wait, what about Big Sis Balchai? Are you sure it's okay for a Zio family bodyguard to be here? I am no longer employed as Miss Balchai's guard. Wait, don't tell me we got you Everything I did that day, including accompanying you, was under Miss Balchai's order. As for why she no longer needed my services, I don't understand myself. She certainly let me go after the trouble was over. So what's there for you to teach me, big bro? Your last lesson plan about not making things awkward got vetted by Zilu, so... You could have taught me a thing or two if we were still kids, but come on, you spent most of your time stuck in Hangyuan before leaving Hangyuan. I don't know what you could have possibly have to teach me. Don't you worry, Zishun. This is one thing I think I'm pretty good at. My lesson for Zishun and Sinclair is, in clear, neat handwriting, Honglu wrote "Surviving Hangyuan" on the chalkboard. Oh, well, I don't think I need any help in that department from you. Look, I know you had your share of assassination attempts, big bro, but Jiamu, I mean, the previous hierarch in the Elder's favor sheltered you from the worst of it. She's not wrong. Back when we had to fight our way through a bunch of sweepers, weren't you also one of the handful who got assassinated? Oh, that? I was just wandering the hallways because I felt like something was off about my room. Until Dante told us all to go back into our rooms, of course. Wait, it was my fault? You do have some intuition, I'll give you that. Looks like I'm gonna have to prove myself. Dayu, would you mind preparing the thing? You have my utmost faith, but please do practice caution. Sometime later, Lin Dayu appeared with 4 bowls splishing with tea before sprinkling some powder into one of them. What's that? That's powdered wolfbane. I see where this is going. You're going to teach me how to tell which of these bowls contain poison, right? You can stop now. I learned to recognize infamous poisons like wolfsbane when I was 7. If it was something as tame as what you were suggesting, Venerable Hierarch, I would not have been here to accompany him. Lin Dayu continued her process, sprinkling wolfsbane powder into 2 more bowls. Hong Lu, who was watching that with an oddly contented expression, closed his eyes. Please mix them up, Dayu. Okay, wait, what? We stared in confusion, but we could hardly tell what was going on, and which Lin Dayu swept around the bowls. When we looked back, Hong Lu, there were 3 silver spoons in his hand. Those silver spoons were custom made at Dongyuan's request. A must-have item for children of one of the 4 great houses. They can detect non-sulfuric poison as well. Yeah, I know. They're actually... Actually, what? It was nothing. And Hongyewan, where we are beset by threats of assassination from all directions, knowledge alone isn't enough to save you. What in the heck are you? But Hongyewan opens his eyes before Jisishun can finish her sentence. Then, he throws the silver spoons in his hand like throwing pins towards the bowls, and immediately chugs the fourth bowl, which he hadn't thrown a spoon at. Holy crap, are you insane? You barely checked them for... Siren's noodle tea is always delicious, even when cool. The 3 silver spoons Hong Lu had cast earlier were slowly melting away after quickly becoming tarnished black. Is Wolfsbane's poison supposed to melt through metal? People like to be thorough with the poisons in Dangyuan. Since everyone's been trained for immunity since childhood, you have to make a mixture of various poisons to have a real effect. Fine, I don't even want to argue. What's your secret? I want to know too. Do they sound different or something? I just went with my hunch. Just a hunch? How are we supposed to learn that? We're not Heathcliff, you know. You'll get the hang of it after a few tries. I'll help you out. Shall we begin with the 2 bowls? I managed to tell the difference between the bowls by reading Honglu and Dayu's subtle tells. I see. When you say you just avoided whatever felt wrong with a hunch, you were reflexively identifying the threat by reading the room and connecting it to your intuitive experiences. Aha, so you were using Miss Ayu's anxious breathing to clue you in. So this is how you managed to survive for so long. Listen carefully, Zishun. I know that the adepts of each Hayushu will come to your aid with a flick of your wrist. And I know that your residence, Nuak Xingwu, will be engineered by the best craftsmen to become a safe house stocked to the brim with all kinds of useful bullets to protect your life. Even still, there will come a day when you start to feel this creeping sensation whose origin you can't identify. And when it does, I hope you don't brush off that sensation as nothing. You're worrying over nothing. Jie whipped around from Long Hong Lu as if to express dissatisfaction, but her softened expression told me that she was glad to see him worried. Courage to confront. Master. Don Quixote! Every 6 days, you will be subject to midterms, prepared by the Board of Directors, Jia Yuanshu. A palanquin has been prepared to take you to the exam sites, and only by passing the test may Jia retain her status as the family hierarch. My lady... Oh, don't worry yourself over much, Master Wai. You sound like you're at a funeral. Had to check something. Sorry. She will pass these tests with ease as long as she had been diligently taking her classes. Alright. No, it's... I simply hope I can survive until she returns. It seemed that Wai's rather funereal voice wasn't just out of his concern for Zishun. Wai, are you sure you're okay? I can't escape them, even in dreams. The unfinished bundles of paperwork cascading over me like a storm, burying me. Steel yourself, for that was no dream at all. In fact, never have I once seen paperwork trained in the arts of airwalking until now. I must be severely sleep deprived. Looks like we're not the only ones going through the ringer. I hope what I've taught is good enough, so... let us fight Shi Yua something. Hey, you're one of the Shi boys! Huh, we finally meet. I hoped to fight you in the family hierarchy war. If you'd run into me then, isn't this supposed to be a sparring match? Why does it sound like you have a personal grudge against me? Oh, it's nothing. Nothing at all. Why in the world would I ever hold such a grudge against you? The results of the family hierarchy war couldn't be any more clear, and everyone even remotely connected to the mess has all been dragged away and put under investigation. And hey, guess what? They dragged half away my family, which means more room for me. I should really thank you, right? Honestly, why didn't you just declare a war against the Shi family at this point? Wouldn't that be much easier? War is not easy. It never is. What are you on about, all of a sudden? It's not something we should be talking so lightly about, even as a joke. Your family was at risk because they were under investigation for treason against Dang Yuan. If they're innocent, I'm sure they'll be released soon enough. I know it's pretty much a given that they'll all be ruled as guilty regardless of what really happened. You know I can't even pay them a visit because you've hidden their cells all over Hong Yuan. They're not hidden. All holding cells within Hong Yuan have always been designed to move around in very short intervals. You know, that does seem like the kind of design that would lead people to make some unfortunate assumptions. Though, I'm sure the initial purpose was to prevent escapes. I recently gained a better understanding of Hong Yuan's structure, so I'm planning to change our policies so that prisoners still on trial are allowed to have fixed locations. Really? Where'd you... I was lucky enough to take a few excellent classes recently. Managed to reflect upon myself a bit too. Huh? You did change a little. Still, you better not expect me to go easy on you. I've got my own things to take care of. Good. Come on. Let's dance. May the illustrious figures of the past have said that naught but disparagement awaits unjust victories. Let's see how this show goes.
누구도 아닌 나 자신을 들여다봐야 해.
Victory! Good for you! You won! Now stop giving me that look and get out of here. You lost most of your clan during the family hierarchy war, didn't you? Yeah? So what? Are you calling me a penniless loser? Yeah. You little. And I'm sure that's what I'll look like to you, too. I don't want your sorry. every clan member who died in the evaluation have to have died for nothing. To have died for nothing. If I show weakness, that means I'm making everyone who participated in the evaluation look weak. So I'm going to win, and I'm going to win without the fertile soil my predecessors have left behind, because their legacy was unjustly nourished by the blood and tears of Hangyoan itself. Zihua Zen, you're tenacious, determined, and strong of will. That must be why everyone stood by you, down to the last man. You knew my name? Ma'am? I do. So what do you think when I make them sing your name in glory for the remaining history of Hangyoan? They really... Damn, someone finally remembered his name. And we're back. I should focus on G and Ren, so... Heard you managed to come out on top of your first sparring match. Congrats. Thanks. I gotta admit, your classes are definitely coming in handy. I like your attitude. Well, shall we take a look at what I prepared for today? You're teaching me about exploring? Huh? It's gonna be an indoors class? Yep, exploring. Where should I begin? It's a very big subject. Free soloing to the top of the highest building in Hangyoan, surviving 10 days in Hangyoan Backstreet with only 3 items. I had plenty of ideas, but most of them got denied. And rightfully so. And that's when I realized that exploring isn't always limited to adventures in the physical space. A few weeks ago. So I'm just here to fill in since this game needs a certain number of players, but... Really? Can you really call this table top game an adventure? Yet in games of make-believe, any simulacra can be made as real as... Ah, what a move! Ooh, nice. I'm gonna roll for damage. They're playing D&D? Yeah, young Ishmael, thou hast absolutely plummeted the Gorgon beast with thy fireball spell, rendering it most crispy. It was a formidable foe that was wonderfully executed, Miss Ishmael. Huh? Really? Well then, as my next move... And that's how you came up with this? I've played a few other games, but this is new for me too. I'm still pretty new in general, I guess. This is called Jenguju Journeys, or Dungeons and Dragons. It is a popular game among Hangyoan's youths. It's gotten generally positive reviews too. What Ishmael so proudly presented for everyone appeared to be a board game with numerous cards and minifigures. Okay, what do these huge piles of papers have to do with exploration? Rule number 1. The most experienced player among those gathered becomes the Dungeon Master. The Dungeon Master? I mean the DM? Yeah, the Dungeon Master. The Dungeon Master designs the story around the player's choices, sets the stage for what happens next, and generally helps guides the players to safely arrive at the final boss. That's why the most experienced player takes that role. Which would be me. Wisdom, strength, dexterity? Each character seems to have these things called stats. Ah, looks like we just have to pick from a preset of pre-made characters for this one. So, I'm supposed to be playing this character's role. Sinclair and Jia Zishun picked up their cards with confusion clear in their eyes. You arrived at the great city of Yanyun, a place known to be the gathering hub for all kinds of influential people. You traveled here in search of a legendary treasure called the Tianya sword. The city of Yanyun. Huh. Cool. So why are we looking for that sword again? Phew. It's because, so there was this legend in Yanyuan about how this this Tianya sword is the only way to quell the chaos of these lands and bring peace to the people. And also, about how having that sword is proof that the true leader of these lands, and so on and so forth. You know, Ishmael was stuttering and stammering through the introduction without her usual confidence. I see. The city called Yanyuan must be in a lot of trouble too. Seemingly affected by the oddly familiar setting of the story, Jiejishu nodded solemnly without noticing Ishmael stumbling through the introduction. Well, you know how it is. The point is, you guys need to go find that sword. Then, I will claim the Tianyu sword, no matter what it costs me. Jiejishu nods with determination. Worked with Sinclair to come up with creative solutions to all kind of trials we face in adventures. I have grown. From the rumors you've gathered, it seems that the Kizan Keep might have heard of the whereabouts of that sword. What will you do? I walk up to the Kizan Keep, channel up, and try to gain his trust. Are you sure? Remember, your wisdom is extremely low right now, which means you'll find it hard to form even simplest sentences. What if I found a different way to gain the Kizhan Keep's trust that doesn't involve sweet-talking him? I do have a pretty high strength stat, which would give me access to certain alternative methods of persuasion that doesn't require skill in speechcraft. Hold on. I'll try to convince the Kizhan Keep. I think I have a decent amount of chance at this. My wisdom is pretty high. And you pass the check. The Kizan Keep looks at you, having lowered its guard. Oh, not you, Sinclair. He's still very wary of you. Okay then. I guess I'll just stand in this corner over there, unsheath my weapon, and play around with it for a bit. That's what he expects me to do anyway, isn't it? You're just role-playing Heathcliff now, aren't you? The Kizan Keep shares some information about the sword he heard. He explains that the party should seek northwest towards Yinji Mountain. But, what's this? Tears begin to swell in the Kizan Keep's eyes as he continues to explain. Apparently, a patrolling guard beat his son pretty badly just for loitering around the guard. The wound is pretty severe, so he needs medicine, but he can't seem to find any. Oh no. That's too bad, but we got a job to do. Since we have what we came here for, let's leave the Kazan. Well, they say that dungeon matches aren't supposed to interfere with the player's choice, but let's be honest, I would have made the same choice. You can't stop and help out for every little side quest when there's a whole lot of adventure to go through. No, we're not leaving. I'm going to get him that medicine. What? After a few turns of various trials and tribulation for Sinclair, the Kizan Keep's son, who fortunately was able to recover, hears his story and hesitantly shares what he knows. He realized that he's talking about the fairy Yaguai, guardian of the Tanya sword. He explains that the fairy Yaguai's powers grows under bright moonlight. Hold on, isn't it full moon right now? Then we should wait until the sky's overcast. Hearing that, the Keep's son takes a quick look at the clouds, then continued that it might be raining in about a week. Glad we helped him out. Phew, okay, let's make sure we're prepared to go. You're gonna have to roll 15 or higher to hit. I know, I'm focused. Hey, I rolled a 16! With a final singular strike from Jiejishu, the fairy Yaguai finally falls to the ground, defeated. Yes, the Tanya sword is ours. Excited, the party runs up to the sword embedded deep into the earth and grabs enthusiastically upon the hilt. With this, we can... However, the defeated fairy Yaguai, whom the party assumed was just dead, suddenly jumps up to its feet and lunges at Jiejishu, who just pulled the sword from the ground. No! I quickly get between Jiejishu and the monster. But if that crits, it's gonna be pretty deadly, even for you. Let's see if he can make the evasion save. One. Nope, that's a critical fail. It's okay. Sinclair falls to the ground, bleeding profusely from the gaping wound. The Yaguai lies still as well, as the final vestiges of its strength completely spent. Sinclair! Go on without me. Take that sword and go down to the village. Become the leader they need. That sword as your proof! No, this sword wouldn't mean anything without my adventuring buddy. I'm gonna bandage Sinclair up and carry him back. I won't leave him behind and descend the mountain all on my own. Wait, if that's your choice, then, yeah, the bleeding stops as soon as you wrap him up. He's just that sturdy, you know? That strike would have killed pretty much anyone, but you know how healthy he is. On your feet, Sinclair. We're getting out of here together. Grab onto my shoulder. That's it, step by step. Hey, Zijin, look over there. Everyone you've helped and saved on our journey has come out to welcome us home. You're right. If it weren't for you, Sinclair, I would have never. I never would have stopped and talked to every single villager to hear their troubles. That sword was only a symbol all along. All of our efforts and experiences we gained on our journey for the sword were what taught me how to be a good leader, not the sword itself. You're right. The real success of this adventure was everyone's effort along the way. I feel like the game overtook the class at some point along the way. He's not wrong. Prep time? I see. Let's see. Should be fine. In regards to every activity, involvement of unnecessary emotions and personal judgment is to be wasteful. I'm gonna need to elaborate on that. Then I will share an excerpt from Sinclair's exchange with the manager. 32 days ago, begin quote. Huh? 32 days ago? What? Excuse me, Dante, I'm sorry to ask this, but most of us are fatally wounded, so can you please turn the clock just one more time? End quote. Unnecessary interjections weighed down your requests. Wow, that's pretty bad. Did I really stutter that badly? It is a waste of time to involve emotions when delivering unfavorable news. The same message could have been delivered with merely 2 words. We failed. Let us commence field practice. Do not ask a single question for the next 5 minutes. Huh? Well, okay. Sure. Seems easy enough. Suddenly, Mersalt let out a cry as he clutched his chest, then fell onto the floor. Are you okay? Mersalt, you okay? His eye snaps back open. Task fails. 5 minutes have not passed. You're cheating. This reminds me of the incident Sinclair had so desperately wished to hide. What? The one who wished to what? Despite your belief that no one would ever find out your secret, there was one person who got to the bottom of the incident. Come on, just what did you see? Failed again. At the so-so time of the class. Learning. For the next part of this shall be silent until the next cutscene. Cause look, I've been chatting for I've been reading and talking for 1 hour and a half straight. Look, you gotta understand, I gotta rest my voice for a while. Even Jihoon had to take a break from talking and had to drink a couple of water a couple of times, so yeah. Anyways, silence. Alright, here's another cutscene. Time for me to speak. Attention! Today's lesson will cover intelligence acquisition. In other words, men, you will learn how to gain information from people. Hey, I'm pretty good at that. You just have to turn them to your side by being generous with my spending. By setting a good example as a superior, they'll eventually open up. Foolishness! Huh? That is among the worst strategies I've ever had the pleasure of hearing. Do you not see how wasteful it is to spend the limited military budget? How wasteful it is to spend so much precious time trying to butter them over? The most efficient means of obtaining intelligence is torture. Torture? Ha! I'd say that's the worst strategy I've ever heard the pleasure of hearing. I'd rather not waste my clan's strength on something so utterly useless like that. Besides, if you end up accidentally killing them, foolishness! Foolishness! Jeez, can you stop saying that word? How simplistic and disappointing. Your imagination falls short if that is all you can think of when you hear the word torture. Then this unit... Huh? This isn't exactly a military unit. Ahem. Then, this Hongyu one may be beyond your ability to lead. Well, I'm waiting. Get on with your lesson. The mention of Hongyu seemed to put Zishun in a thoughtful mood, as she stopped arguing and began focusing on class. The most effective method of torture isn't physical. Things like waterboarding, electrocution are all inferior. Today, you will learn the torture of language. With this method, you will always find the answer you want. Use speechcraft to entrap their minds, slowly constrict around them, and let them take brief sighs of relief every time they give you an answer. That, cadets, is what you will be learning today. To your positions, cadets. Learn some threats and intimidation expressions I could use to frighten the target. You've grown. Don Quixote. Ishmael. Oh, it's already day 12? Alright. Well, all of my stats seem a bit balanced enough, so I hope it'll help a lot. Let's get on with this. Oh yeah, that's right, I have to read. So, I've heard you've defeated Shi Hyuasen. You would do best not to let that get to your head. He's always been our family's greatest shame. Hey, watch yourself. Haven't you learned not to underestimate the family underdogs? What? Oh, you don't know? You see, I managed to talk Shi Hyuasen into, you know. What? No, it can't be. He can have spilled the beans up on my parents. My men are already on their way. But how How do you know it was Block 32? I barely managed to get them a hiding spot there. Oh, so it is Block 32. Did you just... I did, huh? That was way easier than it was during class. I've heard stories about how you've changed. I did not know you've changed into such a heartless woman. Huh? Say something, damn it. Don't just stand there completely expressionless and... Huh? Oh, I see. You won't be shaken by silly little things like this. Is that it? Huh? That may befit the seat of hierarch. However, a leader who responds with silence to their inferiors, a leader who considers them to be only disposable tools, is bound to rot. I, Xi Xijing, refuse to let someone so unqualified such as yourself retain power. Here we go. Number 2. Let's see how well this goes.
망설이지 않고 한 번.
Oh.
조금씩 아픈.
Well, here's the part where I don't speak and rest my voice.
다른 누구도 아닌 나 자신을 들여다봐야 해. 이상. Damn it. I was so close. Did you ever really take the time to think about what might happen if Big Sister Yuan-shun actually gained control of Hangyuan? Sure, it's gonna be all buddy-buddy at first. She's going to acknowledge the authority of the board of directors, butter you up, and then compensate you for your efforts. But soon, you're gonna see people from other nests coming in and taking up administrative positions under the guise of advisors. And it's small families and clans that are gonna suffer first. And when that time comes, I bet you'll be saying the same thing then. I was so close. It's gonna be a while before other members of your family are let go, you know this? I mean, let go. You know this already. They committed treason, thinking they were all piggybacking off Big Sister Yuan Shun's forces, and when in reality, she already discovered them, discarded them, even before it began. She's made sure that nothing about this treason is going to stick to her. Mother, father. Now let's think about this carefully, about Jie Yushun's vision for Dangyuan. Will it be more H-Corp or Q-Corp? I see the point you're making. But you've not given us any reason to trust you either. What guarantees do I have that you won't just toss us aside when we're no longer useful? So about that hiding place where you put your parents, you just accidentally let slip. I'd known their whereabouts for a while actually. My house shoot identified the location long ago, but I didn't do anything because there wasn't any evidence that pointed to your parents' involvement. Is that true? Just how low is your opinion of the hierarch? Big Sister Yuan Shun made a big show of her own influence at the assembly, but I still have a tight control over the Hyoshu of the family hierarch. But I thought you were arresting every member of the Shi family without even questioning them. What was it again? The leaders must take good care of those who are in the same boat as them? Why would any hierarch go around arresting innocent people off of H-Corp left and right? unnecessarily making more enemies for themselves. I sure don't plan on doing that. Victory! Taking care of children.